Welcome. It's not a regular stream today. We don't have a regular class, but I thought it would be kind of fun to do some review of a topic that I did a live stream about a few years ago, but I haven't really done a topic separately all about this before, so I thought it would be kind of cool to go over it. I've got a bunch of stuff we can talk about. I've actually realized I've done 3 separate whole lessons on colors before, not live streams, but just lessons. So I wanted to talk a bit about colors in Korea because I think there's a little bit more to it, and it's not just a vocab lesson. This isn't going to be just like, hey, here's a bunch of vocab words, because that would be kind of boring anyway. But there's a lot more about colors, I think, that we haven't discussed yet. At least I haven't put together all in one video before. So I thought it'd be kind of just fun to hang out today, take some questions, and do some review about colors in Korean. But before that, let's see who's in the chat already. Let's see how everyone's doing. I did see a couple familiar names. I noticed Cosma in here, as well as Keith. Yep, I thought I saw your name. Welcome, welcome. A few other people I recognize. Sunny Southpaw, Cat, Draco, Nem, Jongsby, Young, Trixie Pick, Trixie Pie, HTTPS Lover, Walter, Walt, Chad, Bobby, Awu, Boobashirame, Momu Bashirame, C5N. I can't pronounce your name. Shivani Goswami, Nyaru, Migugin, welcome. Mike, Helen, Ryuya Hailisi. I'm doing my best, okay? Kenny Tries Living. Is that a South Park reference? And Tatiana, welcome, welcome. Tatiana's asking, do I go live every Sunday? I try, but I don't have a class every Sunday. There are only classes 2 weeks in a row. So I'll have 2, and then the next Sunday after that, the 3rd week, will always be break. So usually I don't do a class. I sometimes try to do a live stream anyway, but no promises. Like today, I didn't even announce I was doing one today. I just thought, woke up in the morning, thought, you know what? There's nothing more that I like doing on a Saturday, on a day off, Sunday on a day off. I could just relax and sleep in and eat snacks and, watch a movie or do whatever. There's nothing I actually like more than setting up my room, putting on my outfit, preparing a live stream, and then doing a bonus live stream in addition to the other live streams I do. But it's only like half true. I kind of do actually like it. But yeah, so most Sundays I try to do one. Although from next month, I'm actually going to be going back to Korea after about a month from today. I don't know the exact date. I'd have to look. But yeah, about a month from today, I'm going to be going back to Korea again. And while I'm in Korea, I don't do live streams regularly. And I definitely don't do a single class while I'm in Korea. I can't get this board into my carry-on, into my suitcase. It won't fit. I've tried it. The last one, I folded it up and it just snapped into 5 pieces. So we can't do any of these classes in Korea, but I will try to do some kind of tour videos, just walking around, showing you stuff in Korea and hanging out while I'm over there. But we actually only have 2 more classes before I go to Korea. So next Sunday and the Sunday after that will be the last classes we have. But today isn't really a class. It's just kind of like a review, and we're hanging out. Bigugin says, I only remember 초록색 and 노란, 파란, 빨간. Okay. Partial colors. So those aren't the color names, although 초록색 is a color name. 노란, 파란, and 빨간 are not color names, but they are color adjectives. But we'll be talking about that. There's actually a lot of stuff about colors. Unfortunately, there's a lot of stuff about colors. 보라색, yep, purple. Don't get pen on your shirt this time. Yeah, I'll try. Fortunately, it did eventually mostly come out. Like 95% it came out. I couldn't get it out no matter what I tried. But after I finished the stream, I asked my wife, can you try to get the stain out? Because I did my best, but I could still see it. So she took the shimitori, the one that I showed from Japan, the liquid one. And she used that, and she actually had a little scrubber. So she used it with a scrubber, and that took it all out. So yeah, she was able to get the stain out. I can't even see where it was anymore. I mean, I know where it was, but I can't see it anymore, which is good. Because I don't want to like ruin my, I only have one shirt, so I can't ruin it. Orange is a kind of yellow. Is it? I don't think so. Is it? It's not dark. No, because dark yellow doesn't look like orange at all. I think it's just a combination of red and yellow for paint. I think it's also a combination of red and yellow for light too. I know those are different, like paint color combinations and light color combinations. They work differently. But I think for orange, I think it's both. I think it is. It works for both. But correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not a color teacher. I'm a Korean teacher. Draconem says, couldn't sleep on a Monday. Nice. Have you made a video about Anki? Yes, I have. Check my channel. Use the search feature on my channel and type in Anki, and you'll find a video I made about it. I just wanted to force the reference. Okay. Yeah, Bujige, sure. You can have... Oh, Bujike. Thanks, Keith. Am I very late? No, we haven't started. 빨주노초파남보. You can, but you don't need to do that. Depends on which colors you want, but yeah. Orange is red and yellow. Yeah, that's what I thought. Some dark greens are technically dark yellows. Tony likes weights. Probably, you said you're out of breath. I guess you were picking up some weights. Then you came straight to the live stream. Understandable. I'm new at Korean, but I learned the colors. Nice. What should I do firstly? Ruya, check out my beginner course, my 100 episode beginner course. That'll answer all your questions. I like recommending that to people because it's really got everything for brand new beginners. And I also especially like recommending it to people because it's free. So I don't have to tell them like, you got to buy this to start learning Korean. I like telling them that because it's a good start. It's like you're learning how to cook. And I just give you this fridge of ingredients. You know, it's not going to have everything. It's not going to have like every spice, but it's got all the basics. You got your milk, your butter, your bread, your ramen. Like my college apartment refrigerator or something like this. You know, maybe some chicken, some leftover pizza. Just the good stuff. Just the stuff you really need to get started. Your basement stairs. Well, they're not supposed to be climbable. That's why. It's just for OSHA. Nice. Yeah. So for those of you just coming in, this isn't a regular class. This is a bonus live stream. I always do 2 classes in a row, and then the third week is off, so we don't have a class. But today I thought, let's have a class anyway. But there isn't a prepared lesson. Instead, what we're doing is I'm going to be going over again some information from previous lessons I've done. Several. I actually have 3. I have some information I wrote up again about like hidden meanings behind colors. I have a lesson I did about colors with partial, with like some sentences and some, verbs and stuff. And then my colors cheat sheet, which you can get for free on my Patreon page, which kind of has everything combined together already. It's only missing some extra little details that would be like, really specific stuff you want to learn more in depth. But yeah, I'd start with this. If you don't know anything about colors, this has all of them and it tells you when to use each one. And yeah, it's pretty much every single color, except I did notice I didn't put rainbow color on here, but I don't really feel bad about that. Cause if someone asks, what color do you want? Do you ever say rainbow? I mean, yeah, it is a color technically, but it's not really, it's not like it's not a color you can get something in. So this is more about like single colors, not like, checkered color. Like I have my shirt would be check muni, which is, they actually call them patterns typically. Or like, rainbows, stuff like that. I didn't want to go into that because then that's a whole other category of like patterns, but for colors, they're all there. BTS. Yeah. A lot of people got into Korean from BTS. For me, it was Luna. Migugin says, I love Luna. I hate all other artists. Antis are the best thing ever. I only like Luna. Interesting. Very, very strong Luna fan, I see. Emily Sicking says, my aunt is an artist and said there's no true black. It's really just dark version of another color. If you're talking about actual paints, yeah, paints are like the blackest paint color is going to be, if you like spread it out really thin, like get it all completely broken apart, it's probably going to be like a dark blue or something like that, because it's hard to make something that's pure black, right? Mine was SKZ, Stray Kids, yes. There's Venta Black, but it's still not 100% black, but it is very black. And then Venta Black isn't even the blackest color. That was like decades ago. If you search, they made some newer ones that are even like way more than Venta Black. I remember hearing. Yeah, complete lack of light, complete black. Yes. Yeah, it's hard to get something that's that much, but no one's gonna, like when you go buy your new phone and the cashier's like, what color do you want? You're not gonna be like, Venta Black. I want it to get lost in my pocket. So, I mean, you don't need every single color. Let me get a yellow 3.875 hash the hex code. Like, you're not going to order your colors like that unless you're a printing press, like, or you're, a publishing company will order their specific colors from like Panto Kodak. There's like some, I can't remember. It's a Pantomime. Anyway, they're like official colors that they have, which are like guaranteed to be a certain shade every single time. But for regular people, you just want to say yellow. It could be bright or dark yellow, but it's yellowish. That's good enough usually. Anyway, we'll start the lesson. Yeah, Pantone. I knew it starts with pants. Yeah, Pantone colors. I'm very obsessed with Trotte lately. Nice. Twice. Girls' Generation. Okay. I know some of those other ones. I don't know all of them. But look, what if I'm looking for cream and crimson? Well, you can get crimson color, but you're not really gonna, I guess I should say two things. Korea does not have more colors than we do in English, which is a common myth that I've seen spread on Instagram accounts. But Korea also doesn't really have less colors than we have either. We also have a ton of colors in English, and they have a ton of colors in Korea. Like, sometimes I'll see people post, like, look at all the color words for blue. There's 파란색, there's 파랑, there's 푸른색, there's 푸르다, 파랗다, 파랑, 청색, there's and then there's, let's see, 남색, 곤색, 자두색. Oh, actually, that starting to go into other colors. But anyway, 창록색. There is 하늘색. There is, there's all these colors for blue. And then if you start going into the green ones, you even have more. So you might see, and then there are tons and tons and tons more. They'll have you like a list with like 30 or 40, and you'll be like, what am I going to do? Korean is too hard. Until you translate a single one of those colors into English, and it'll make perfect sense why they have all those colors. Because one will be like dark blue, light blue, navy blue, sky blue, turquoise, grassy green, like Kermit the Frog green. Like, they have all these shades of every color, just like we do in English. And it's the exact same thing as what we do. So that there are not a ton of colors in Korea. If you go to the store and someone asks you, what color do you want of this item? You're never going to be like, yes, let me get a Kermit green, please. Like, you're not going to be specific of a color unless it's for paints. And if it's paints, you're going to say, I want this one. It's the number, it's like 003300, whatever color you want. You're going to give them the number. You're not going to be like, well, I want the long lost lover red. Like, you're not going to, it's a color. I just made it right now. Just like Billy shirt dark blue is a color. Right? You could say 빌리 셔츠 남색. Like, you can make any color you want, and Korean you can do the same thing, but that doesn't mean just because you put it on a list of 100 other words for blue that you have to learn it as a learner. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do is I want to desimplify that because you don't need those weird colors. They exist. If you were to say forest green, someone's going to be like, oh, I know what that's like a dark green, right? But you're never going to need forest green unless that's the title of your album, right? Yeah, so I wouldn't worry about it. Who thought there was more? I had the big Crayola box. There you go. Anyone who's bought the box of like 144 crayons, the big one at the store, there are way too many colors in there. And it's the exact same thing as in Korean. You'll recognize these colors. If you were to say, oh, is that really a color to a Korean? They'll be like, oh yeah. But no one uses it because why would you use that color? Like, why would you say dirt brown? Just say light brown or dark brown, right? Like, do you need a specific shade? No. So you don't need it in Korean either. Fortunately, there are some tips I'll give you. So you can kind of recognize if it's a darker or a lighter color. We'll talk about that as well. Unless you're in Roblox Studio, do they give you a lot of colors in there? I've never played it. I just know my kid keeps going around saying oof all the time. That's the only thing I know about Roblox. Which I actually heard they changed the sound effects though. Like they got sued by the guy who owned the sound effect, I guess, got mad and sued them or something. And then they, instead of paying the guy, they just like, okay, whatever. And they just changed it to another sound effect. Something like that I heard about. But yeah, I never played the game before. Right now, I guess I'm at A 0.5. Are you talking about the CFR scale? And then there are Faber-Castell color names like Caput Mortuum. Okay. How about olive? Yeah. Olive. Olibusek. You could say that in Korean. So, all right. We're going to talk a little bit about colors today, but since this isn't a lesson, again, this is not a lesson. We do 2 lessons in a row, and then this is our break week. This is a bonus live stream. We're just hanging out. Feel free to ask questions along the way, but we are going to be talking about colors. So, the word for color is 색, 색 or 색깔. Now, if you're just saying the word color, like I like this color, 저는 이 색깔이 좋아요, or 저는 이 색이 좋아요. You can use either 색깔 or 색. But if you want to say color as like part of a word, like it's a blue color, green color, like that, if you want to attach the word color onto any word you want, just use 색. So if you want to make Kermit the Frog green, if you want to make Kermit the Frog color, just say Kermit the Frog. I actually don't know his name. Is it Comet? It might be Comet. I haven't checked. 개구리 Comet or something like that. I don't know. I've never seen the Muppets in Korean. Just put whatever you want before 색. So, 빌리색, Billy colored. I don't know what this would be. A bullet, medium, recycled content. Okay. Try to think some. Okay, here. Starbucks 색. Starbucks color. I actually didn't even get this at Starbucks. Someone else got this for me. I just use it because it's clear. Anyway, whatever you want, just stick the word 색 on the end, and now you have a color. Or again, use it as its own noun, either as 색 or 색깔. So that's pretty easy. That's pretty basic. The other thing, now I'm telling you these pro tips at the beginning. The other thing is anytime, okay, in Korean, there's something known as vowel harmony. Vowel harmony is a pretty big topic, but I will, to simplify it as much as possible. If you see a vowel that's ah or o in it, this is what's known as a bright vowel, like, yin and yang, sort of that sort of thing. This is the bright version of the yin and yang in Korean. This is a concept that's in the Korean language that's hidden. I made a video about this if you actually want to, if you want to know more about this, because it's actually a full lesson. I'm trying not to get into it too deep. But there's something in Korean called vowel harmony, where vowels will change the meaning, the nuance of a word. If you have a bright, these are bright vowels. You have a vowel that's bright, which is specifically like ah and o, and a few others. They have a light, a happy, and more importantly, a bright feeling. So their bright vowels have a bright feeling. So if you hear any color that you don't know, and you want to know, is this a bright version of whatever color they're talking about? Like maybe it's a new version of a color you've never heard, but it kind of sounds like a color you know. You hear like a pop or something like that. You're like, oh, that's in parata, that's in blue. Does this mean dark blue or light blue? If you hear a ah or an o sound, it means it's a bright version of that color. The end. However, if you ever see a dark vowel, there are a lot of these as well. I'm trying to keep this as simple as possible. But anything with these vowels in it will have a darker feel. And if this is interesting to you at all, because I don't want to bore you in case you don't really care about this detail, search vowel harmony on my channel. I made a video all about it with like a list of a bunch of vowels and everything and a bunch of examples. It also has to do with why you conjugate verbs the way you do. It's just this whole gigantic topic that's in the Korean language. It's really cool. So if you hear a new word for a color and you don't know if it's a bright or a dark version of that color or what it is, just look at the vowel in it. Are they a bunch of bright vowels or a bunch of dark vowels? So I'll give you an example. And again, you can look this up on my channel if you're more interested in it. Vowel harmony. It's a Korean concept. It's not taught though that much because I think it's more advanced. You don't really need it in the beginning stage, but when you learn it, it's pretty useful. So let's see. Oh yeah, really, really quick example. Actually, I'm going to write this with the color it's supposed to be. Okay, both of these colors are red. Let's say you didn't know either of these colors. But actually, let's say you knew this, because this you should know. 빨간색. 빨간색 means red. 빨간색. 빨간, literally, 빨간색 means red color. But if you don't have the color here, you're just saying something red, like a red a red car, or a red 빨간 pen, 빨간 whatever. So 빨간 is an adjective. You can't just say like, my favorite color is 빨간. That doesn't make any sense because it's like a red what? Like, what is your favorite color? So they say 빨간색, color, or 붉은색. This also means a red color. So if you saw red 붉은 and red 빨간, you could easily know, even if you don't remember what the color means in English, this has an ah sound. Ah, 빨간, has two of them. Oops, why don't I was trying to write ah and switch to the other one. You see that right there. You know, this one also works as well. So you know this one's bright and this one's dark. There you go. And that is the correct answer, actually. 붉은 is a deeper red than 빨간. But you didn't have to remember that necessarily. In case you forget, bright color, bright vowels, so ah and o, the same ones you use when you're conjugating the yo form and you attach ah, you attach ayo or oyo, right? You're actually attaching ayo onto bright vowels and oyo onto dark vowels, which is most of the other vowels besides ah and o anyway. So bright vowels is a brighter color. Dark vowels is a darker color. But these are both red. So if you ever see someone, like, technically 붉은색 would be like a crimson color, but that might be a bit difficult to memorize. You can just remember they're both red, and this one's the brighter one, this one's the darker one. And there are color versions like that for a lot of the colors that you'll see. And not all of them are common, though. That's kind of why I wanted to give you this tip, because... Hold on, let me just check the chat real quick. I'm going to check if my Nightbot is still dead, because it was dead before and it wasn't replying. But I want to see if it came back alive. Yay! Okay. Good. Okay. I wasn't sure if it was completely dead. So, oh, hey, Lexica. Thank you, Lexica. I walked away right when Lexica was donating. I swear it wasn't to avoid you, Lexica. For obvious reasons, Minute 7 loves this topic. Porahe. Nice. Purple. So let me just check the chat for a second. It's Anzac Day in New Zealand. Oh, okay. I think I heard about that. You guys make... Is that where you make like Anzac cookies or something? Or am I getting that confused with something else? Mm-hmm. Chuangsek and Hanersek. Oh, so Keith, the thing is, that's actually a really good question, Keith. Vowel harmony only works in Korean. It doesn't work from Sino-Korean. So you have to know it's a word that comes from Korean, in which case it will follow vowel harmony for pretty much every word until modern, like really modern recent Korean, where there's some exceptions in modern Korean. But if it's a Korean word, then it'll follow vowel harmony. Hanja words are like Sino-Korean words. Chinese doesn't have any sort of concept like that, so it doesn't apply. Chuang would be a Hanja word originally. Okay, cool. Yeah, so this is the regular word. So we'll talk about this. So in Korean, pure Korean colors mostly are actually verbs. They start off as verbs, which is kind of weird. So you think color and you think it's going to be a noun, right? Green, red, blue, or maybe an adjective like a green car, a blue shirt. But you're not going to really think about, if you've never learned this before, you're not going to think that colors are verbs. But in Korean, colors are verbs because what it means is to be. And then whatever color it is. So in this case, parata is to be blue. So it seems weird that it's a verb, but just think of it as meaning to be, stuck into the word. In which case, if you say something to be blue in the present tense, you're saying it is blue. Like it was blue in the past tense. Like it is a blue car is what you're saying. If you say paran ta, you're saying a car that is blue. So it just has the to be meaning attached onto it. But what it means is that you can conjugate it if you want to say something is blue. And you have actually two options in Korean. So the first option is what we actually already did. This is the one you probably learned first. And that's you use the word that has sek in it, right? So you probably know the word paran색, which means blue. Well, if you say something is blue using this, well, all you're doing is you're attaching it is to the end. So you can say like i에요 or iya or 입니다, whatever you want to say. So you are attaching that it is a blue. It literally, you're saying it is a color that is blue. It is a blue color if you say 파란색이에요. But what if you just want to say it is blue and you didn't use this 파란색? Well, you can also just take the verb itself and conjugate it, in which case now there actually are rules for conjugating these, and I could cover them as well. Maybe I will. But pareo is a conjugated version of the verb to be blue, parata. So pareo meaning it is blue. So you could either say 파란색이에요 or pareo. But 파란색이에요 means it's a blue color, and pareo means it is blue. But it's the same meaning. It's a different nuance, but it's the same meaning. If someone says, hey, what color is that? You can say pareo, it's blue. 파란색이에요, it's a blue color. Both are natural, both are fine. Now, if you're a beginner, I typically recommend beginners stick with the colors that end with sek because it's the easiest to work with. Because you don't have to memorize how to conjugate. You don't have to learn the conjugation exceptions for verbs that end with this, which all of the colors end with this letter, hiet, the H letter. So there's some interesting conjugation rules you have to do because of that. But basically that's it. But this is the basic word. Going back to what I was saying about light and dark vowels, this is not a word you should learn. I'm writing it up and saying that at the same time. But what if you saw that? What if someone uploaded a list of Korean words for blue and you saw this, or like poron, or like a form of it, like poron색 or something like that? And you didn't know this color because why would you? I've never heard it used. I've seen it on lists. I've looked it up, but I've never used it. But you can know right away, oh, it's just a darker version of blue. Like you don't necessarily know when you might use it, what connotation it has exactly, but you can know right away, oh, this must be a dark version of blue. And you'd be correct because it has the dark vowels in it. Po, rota. I've never used this word, which is why I say don't learn it. If you don't know basic colors, you don't want to learn obscure colors. But let me give you another example. Norata is to be yellow. To be yellow. This is a verb. But you're probably more familiar with it as the noun form. 노란색. 노란색 means yellow color. So the color yellow, basically. So you can say 노란색이에요, or you can conjugate this 노래요. We won't go into this because actually, if you want to do a really quick review of colors, like I do recommend also getting my free cheat sheet, which is on my Patreon page. It has like literally every single color, as well as a lot of stuff I'm talking about today. So, 노란색, yellow. What if you saw this word for yellow? 누렇다. Can you guess what this would mean? You might not know why you would use it. You wouldn't know that, oh, this is used for like describing someone when they're like, they have like a sickly face. It's a dark yellow. It's like an ugly kind of yellow. 누렇다. Because, it has dark vowels in it. So you don't have to memorize this word. Actually, this one's not terrible. 파랗다 is pretty terrible. I've never used it. But 누렇다, I've seen it a couple times. If you're a beginner, I don't recommend learning it because you won't be able to use it, or even you won't really see it much. But at least I've seen it a few times. So you don't have to learn every single color combination to be able to recognize them. If you're paying attention to, if one, you have to know it's a color. And then the other thing would have to be, if you see it used, you'll have to remember which vowels are like bright vowels or dark vowels to do it. But anyway, that's just one kind of quick thing I wanted to share as well. So let's make sure I got my notes out here. Any questions so far? Let's check it here. You can figure it out. 하늘색. Yeah. So 하늘색 is one of the examples of that thing I explained where you take any word you want and slap 색 at the end of it. So you get 하늘, sky, 색, color, sky color. Literally sky color. I mean, you can translate it as sky blue because the sky is blue, but it just means sky color. So it's like a light blue, right? Yes. I only learned 여자 embarrassingly late. Yeah, 하늘색, that's right. Yes, the hiat is fake and only a reminder that they're secretly from hada verbs, and so their vowel becomes not a. Actually, that's a misconception, but it's that it has that sound in it, and they'll add an a sound to it, but sometimes that's the other version of the vowel, the a sound. But yes, that hiat is just a compressed version of hada originally. Yeah, darker yellow. Yeah, 누렇다 would be an example of where that doesn't work, but that's because it's a combination of the a and the all sound as well. Sorry, Google, I use Billy Go. Okay, we have Google at home. Google at home, yes. Okay, so there actually aren't that many colors to learn. I can go through all the colors, but I think that might be kind of just a long and boring lesson. So let me just go through a couple of these. Because basically you can look up, I mean, you can just Google like Korean color lists and they're going to give you a bunch of them. But I do want to go through a few that are less commonly known. So I don't want to go over like blue, red, yellow, like the really common ones. I want to go over some slightly more uncommon colors. And for other ones, I recommend just Googling like Korean colors to find a list. Okay, so first one I want to go over. So 살구 is basically an apricot. 살구. I don't know if anyone likes apricots. They're pretty good. They're kind of like a pinkish orange color, right? They're like really light pink-ish. So a color, apricot. 살구 색, literally. Apricot color. Now, it does mean apricot color, but this one is specifically used for something besides describing the color of apricots. It's actually used for skin color. So if you have light skin color, they usually refer to that as apricot color. Small thing in Korea. Let me just check the chat real quick. Or the 50 Shades of Black. Yes, that's right. I always read apricot with an A. Apricot. 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 I just say apricot. 살구색, 오렌지색. Yeah, 오렌지색 is just orange color. So that's actually a good point that Ji-hoon brought up. Again, for anyone, if it's your first live stream, this is not my normal lesson structure. This is just more of a kind of like a review, just an open class. So I normally will do prepared lessons every 2 Sundays. I'll do 2 Sundays in a row and then one off. This is the off. This is our like just bonus kind of casual live. So these are 2 words for orange. 주황색. 주황색 is orange. Literally 주황. It's a Chinese word. I actually didn't look it up, but I'm going to take a guess that it means an orange, but I don't speak Chinese. Anyway, 주황색 is orange, very commonly used, but you'll also see the word from time to time, literally 오렌지색. Orange is an orange, 오렌지색, so an orange color. Did orange create the color or did the color create the orange? It's always interesting. Actually, I think we don't actually know which one came first, but anyway, 주황 though, actually, I think it doesn't mean orange. I'm kind of joking. Hwang is a yellow color. So I think chu is like some sort of modifier for the type of yellow. But anyway, so you have orange or orange. Which one do you use and when? Well, if the word is English, this one's English. If it's not a Korean word or Chinese word, if it's a foreign word, you can clearly see it's a foreign word. While they both mean orange, the foreign word sounds like you're picking it sounds like an artificial color. So they're both orange, but the English word in this case, orange, or as you'll see, like pink, or maybe black, or white for white, or, like that. Those English words or the foreign word colors sound like an artificial version of the color. Not in a bad way artificial, but like it's a man-made product. So if you say 오렌지색, it sounds like it's a color of something you're purchasing, like maybe it's been stained orange color, or it's like an orange color plastic, or that it's like, you're buying your new iPhone and they have an orange color. It sounds kind of more like that. Whereas 주황색, because it's not a foreign word, it's not just the English word, it seems like it could be more like something that's natural. Like maybe you're describing the color of a flower or the color of natural dyes or something like that. So that's the difference when you have these options. And most of the colors you're actually going to have this option. I don't have a pink one, so I'm just going to write it in red. So for pink, you have 분홍색. Hong is a red originally. Pun, I think, is like a light or soft, but I don't know Chinese. I'm just making a guess. I just know the Hong is a reddish color. So pink color, 분홍색. You can use pink, totally common, or 핑크색, literally pink color. Both of these mean pink. They both are describing the exact same color. Oh, that's what I should clarify. If you see a color written in like English, like pink or versus 분홍, I'm not going to say who, because I actually don't have a specific example of a person, but you might see someone describe it as, oh, well, the orange is a different shade and the chuang is a different shade. It's the same shade. You are describing the exact same color whenever you have these options. Like, for example, if you have black, like 검은색 for black or 까만색 for black, or you have 블랙색 for black, it's the same shade when you're describing 블랙색. It's still black. It's the same pink shade. The difference is, again, pink kind of sounds more like something that's maybe more modern, maybe man-made, like artificial. Now, it's commonly used. In fact, 핑크색 would be actually more commonly used than 분홍색. But if you wanted to describe, like maybe like you wanted to sound a little bit more fancy and describe like a flower, like a pinkish flower, 분홍색 I think would sound a little bit more fancy, a little bit nicer. Whereas 핑크색 is just more straightforward, like it's pink color, like that. So that's the difference. And you have these options for like all of them, like blue, green for green, white for white, and a few others that I was mentioning. But automatically, that's 2 colors for every color in Korean that you might already know. Like if you already know the word for blue, and then you see blue, and you're like, well, what's the difference? That's the difference. It's not another shade of blue. It's just supposed to be like we say blue in English, and blue in English doesn't mean dark blue or light blue or navy blue or Cookie Monster blue. It doesn't mean anything. It's just blue, right? Korean's the exact same thing. It's just a concept. And you only need to specify when you need to specify. But if you say 분홍색, it doesn't mean, oh, 분홍색 is this exact pinkish color. It's a light pink. No, it's a darker pink. It's more of a natural. There is no such thing. The color works the same way in Korean. If you say something's 분홍색, it means pink. No one knows if you mean darker or lighter pink. They don't refer to specific shades in Korean with their basic primary colors, just like we do in English. So there isn't any sort of mystery behind these colors. I just want to clarify that it's not like if you see 10 shades of the same color, oh, they must all be different shades of the color. If they say that, then yes. Otherwise, the only other hint you have at the whether it's a darker or lighter version would be with bright or dark vowels. And the only way to use that bright or dark vowel tip that I gave you is if you know that it's a word that's actually Korean, that didn't just come from Chinese. Because 분홍 is just from Chinese. It gives you no information about whether it's a bright or a dark version of it. Okay. Let's see. What else do we want to do? Let me just check the chat real quick. Blackpink. Yeah, Blackpink. Blackpink it's not a color in Korean. You could do, we'll actually talk about, why don't we talk about that right now? How do you do brighter and darker colors and lighter and deeper colors? You can use these words attached before any color you want. Light or a soft, darker or a strong. Just looking at my English translation for that. If you attach either 연 or 연한, same thing. The han is actually from hada. So if you attach 연, it's actually like slapping on a little hanja, a little Chinese sign, root word, or prefix. Prefix would be the right word. Before the word, 연 초록색, or 연한 from hada, like to be a light 초록색, 연한 초록색. That means it's a soft green or a light green. You can also slap this on to whatever you want. You can also slap this on to words that already sound like they're brighter. Like I said, how 빨간색 would be a brighter tone than 붉은색. That doesn't necessarily mean 빨간색. It doesn't mean that it's a bright red. It just means a comparatively to 붉은색, while they're both red, 붉은색 would be slightly darker and 빨간색 would be slightly brighter. That's the only difference. But if you wanted to make it more bright, like I actually want a light, I want a softer red. 연한 빨간색. Now you have a softer red that's almost like it's not pink yet, but it's getting that way. Or 진한 빨간색. You might say that, you could, like a dark red, or 진한 붉은색. Now that sounds like really dark. Now it's like a super deep red, like a blood red or something like that. 진 or 진한 for dark and strong colors. 연 or 연한 for a light or a soft color. And this works for any color you want. There's one more thing I also want to tell you. I'll just leave this up for a couple minutes before I erase it. But there's one more thing you should know also. 연두색. Yeah, 연두색 would be like a yellowish green. Kind of like, almost like a grass green color, right? That's why they actually call that 풀색. 풀 is grass. So 풀색, grass green, which is also like a light, like a yellowish green. Blackpink in your area, yeah. 검은 분홍, my favorite K-pop group, Blackpink, yes. Lola in the black. Yeah, I got some more for you. Don't worry. There are two more terms. So this is light or dark, like soft or strong, but there are two more I need to tell you. Is there a difference between 녹색 and 초록색? Good question. Why don't I give you that? So both of them mean green. And in fact, 초록색 is already 녹색 inside of it. The 녹 in the word 초록, the 녹 part, the middle character, the middle syllable, is the same character as 녹 from 녹색. But the reason it's 녹 is because of the 두음법. Oh, what's the word? I just had a brain fart. Anyway, I'll think of it in a second. The rule where you can't have a word in Korean, in South Korean, start with a lir, start with an L letter. So any word that normally would start with a L letter transforms and gets read as a nian or as a iang, so as a no consonant. In this case, nok becomes nok, so you get noksek, and cho is just attached on top of it. I think, I'm just taking a shot here, I think cho is for like leaves, like foliage. Let me check that actually. But I'll give you an answer to your question in just a second. I really need to learn more Hanja as well. Yes, I was correct. Pool is specifically, yeah, pool. So like, it's like foliage. Basically, 녹색 already means green. 초록색 means foliage green. But the difference is that the word 초록색 is way more commonly used. 녹색 is not so commonly used, although they both mean green. 초록색 is the word you want when you're saying green. Usually not 녹색. But 녹색 will be used more often for describing traditional clothing, like traditional colors. If you want to say, like, if you want it to have kind of the feel that it's something old-fashioned or something like handmade, then they usually use 녹색 because it has a little bit more of that feeling. And although you wouldn't use either of those for describing greens in nature, both of those are used for describing like actual colors, like man-made colors. For nature, they actually use the word for green. I'm sorry, blue, but it is green too. They use the word for blue to describe green colors in nature. And that's not something unique to Korean. They do that in Japanese, Chinese, and I think several other languages also have the same concept. I'm not sure where it originally came from. I would like to do some more research and make a video about that officially someday for like the origins of that. But anyway, it's not something exclusive to Korea, but it goes to as well. Traffic lights as well get described with blue instead of green. They call it blue most of the time. Like they call it 파란불, 파란 for blue instead of green. 초록, you could say 초록불, but it's more commonly 파란불. Anyway, so yeah, that's the difference. So that's for lighter or, you know, stronger colors, but you also might want to describe something as brighter. So I'll write the verbs up as well. The verb 밝다 is to be bright, and the verb 어둡다 is to be dark. So if you take the adjective forms of both of those, you get 밝은, bright. This is an adjective, so you have to follow it by a noun. You can't say 밝은이에요. That doesn't make any sense because 밝은 is just an adjective. It's only describing, it means that is bright. So you have to have the thing that is bright after it. 밝은 색, whatever color you want. 밝은 거미색, like a bright Kermit color. I don't know. Now I have to look up Kermit. I keep saying Kermit. I want to make sure I'm getting this right. Is that Kermit? Yeah, Kermit. Okay. I knew it. I knew you were green. It's not easy being green. So, 밝은, bright. 어두운, dark. I wrote that really messy, but you know what I'm talking about. You know me. So now you can say any color plus a light or a soft color, a dark or a strong color, or literally like a bright or a dark version if you want. So if you're talking about like more or less saturated, you can use the first ones that we gave you. 연하다 would be a lighter, less saturated, and 진하다 would be a deeper, more saturated color. In fact, the words 연하다 and 진하다, which you learned as 진 or 연 or 진한 and 연한, those are also the words you use for liquids. So if you get like dark tea or lighter tea, or you're making something and you want to, you're baking some, not baking, you're cooking something and you try it and it's like, oh, it needs to be a little bit stronger. You can say 진하다 for that. Like, oh, I want my tea, I want my coffee to be a little bit lighter, or I want it to be darker. Like that sort of lighter and stronger is also 연하다 and 진하다. But anyway, this is for the actual amount of light. 밝은 and 어두운. Yeah, 두음 법칙. Thank you. I was like 두음 법, and then my brain had a brain fart, and I'm like, is it 법칙? Because that's what's coming, but I can't remember the word for it. But I have a video also about that. You can search on my channel. It's not that complicated though. It's the word is more complicated than the actual concept. I don't recall calling things green as blue in Chinese. They do. The word 청 in Korean. So that would be what's that? Qing? Qing or something. It's probably qing, I'm guessing, in Chinese. But I don't know very much Chinese. I mean, I don't know the language. I don't know too much of their versions of their characters, but they do the same thing in Chinese as well with the green and blue character. Okay. Yeah, 검은 is a black color. Yeah, that's right. Green mountain, blue mountain. 청산. Yeah, that's the character. I don't know if that's the same one they use in traditional Chinese though, is what I mean. I guess it would be, because typically traditional Chinese is what Korean uses, not the simplified version that they use in Mandarin nowadays. That's a different version. But I don't know if that's the one they still use in simplified version as well. Someone said 검을 also means dark. No. That would be a future tense adjective, actually. And I actually do have a cheat sheet for that form. Not for colors, but I have one for making the past, present, and future tense adjective forms for both descriptive verbs and action verbs. But that would be a future tense form. You wouldn't say 검을. Unless you're saying it will be a little bit dark. Like you're saying 검을 것 같아요. Like if you're doing some sort of sentence, then it could work. But you would never use that as the adjective form for like, it will be a blackish color. It's like, what? So it wouldn't work. Dark blue, 멍. Yeah, 멍. 멍 is that's like a bruise, would be a 멍. What's the difference between traditional and simplified Chinese? That would be a great question to ask a Chinese teacher. But I just know simplified Chinese is simpler, and they made it in the, what, like 30s or something? 1930s? 1920s, 1930s? Sometime around then, they made the simplified version of Chinese characters that Mandarin uses today. They also made a lot of other changes. But I don't know the simplified characters. Very, very few of them I can read. Okay. Let's see, what other colors are interesting? Let's see, because I don't just want to give you regular colors. I want to give you some kind of unique ones. Okay, here we go. So, 갈색 means brown. I'm actually suddenly curious what this part is. See, this is how I learn so much Korean. Is I get really curious about stuff all the time. Oh, okay, it is Hanja word. Okay, I was thinking it might be. I is 짐승의 털로 짜서 만든 비단. 거친 모직물. Oh, okay. It is a interesting. It's a kind of silk. It's a kind of silk that they make, or color that they make from boiling down the hairs on an animal. And it comes from Chinese. So it's not a Korean word, it's a Chinese word. Anyway, I was just curious. It's brown. So this is the color brown, 갈색. But brown also has a lot of versions, right? Are you talking about like, I mean, you could use the colors I just gave you, the modifiers I just gave you. You can say like 연한 갈색. Now you have a light brown. 연 갈색. There you go. 진한 or 진 갈색. 진한 갈색. So now you have a deep, darker brown. You can have 밝은 갈색, a bright brown, right? 어두운 갈색, a dark brown. Now these are just concepts. So which one is the most brown? Which one's the brightest? It doesn't matter. Just like in English, if you say it's a light brown or a soft brown or a weak brown, right? It's like, it's all the same thing. It's just different ways of describing it. Oh, it's a darker brown, a deeper brown, a stronger brown. They also mean the same thing, right? It's just whatever you want to talk about. So we have all those. So just because we have those, now we have 진한, 연한, 밝은, 어두운, 갈색. So we have 5 words for brown. We already know just by learning this and learning the modifiers. But we can go more. We can go further down into the matrix. Lick the blue pen and you'll probably have weird hallucinations. Lick the red pen and the same thing's going to happen, but it's red. We can go a little bit deeper though with this brown color. So 황토색. 황토 is dirt. It's a Chinese word though. You don't need to learn it. 황토색 is a dirt color. So before we had 갈색, which is kind of like, it seems like an animal fur brown, right? And now we have 황토색, which is a dirt brown. Well, dirt brown is just kind of lighter color, I guess. If you think of dirt versus an animal brown, it seems a little bit lighter, right? So now we have another color. This is pretty common. You can learn this one for brown, 황토색. But we didn't just learn one color right now, right? Because we can also do 진한 황토색, 연한 황토색, 밝은 황토색, 어두운 황토색. Now we have 5 more. So I've taught you 2 colors, 갈색 and 황토색. And now you have 10, at least. Technically, you could make an additional 4 if you do 진 and 연 instead of 진한 and 연한 for both of these, right? But this is a lot of colors. That's 14 colors. You can make your own Instagram post. Say, look, these are all the colors for brown. And you can list now 14 colors from 2. We're not even done. Okay, let me just check the chat. Goodness, is everything complicated in Korean? Yes. Everything is complicated in Korean? No. But I mean, it's the same in English, right? It's not really fair to expect Korean to be like easier or like all laid out perfectly when English is just a big mess. I think English is much harder, personally. I think it's still easier than English. But they do have a lot of things you can do. Yeah. Earth, color. 황, 토. Vent to black. 제일 진하고 어두운 검은색이에요. Very nice sentence, Helen. Does the Korean language also have emotions? Yes, we do. Yes, we do. I mean, not we. I'm not Korean, obviously, but yes, there is. I'll tell you a little bit about that. Is pro wrestling? Yeah, sure. Kobe. Sorry, I misread that as Kirby. I'm like, Kirby's not brown. Kirby's pink. But yeah, 커피 brown. Yeah, 커피색. 커피색 is a color too. 커피색. Or 커피빈색, I guess you could say. I don't know. 커피색, sure. Kermit is 연두색. Kermit is he kind of a yellow-green? I thought he's just more of like a green. Yeah, I feel bad for anyone trying to learn English. The only reason that Koreans are so good at learning it though is because they start as a literal baby. Otherwise, I really feel bad for anyone trying to learn English. Okay, 황토색. So now we have 2, right? Which is 14 as we learned, or at least let's say 10 if we're not going to take every version of that. 10 colors. There are other brown colors that are commonly used, like really common, that I'm going to just give you a few more. Yeah, I guess we can do 고동. I don't know what the word 고동 means, but it's more of a dark yellow brown. It's like a more brown-ish. It probably is something like 동, like copper, because I know that, Hanta. Yeah, it is. Okay. It's like a maroon, a darker brown color. But you could have a 진한 고동색, a 어두운 고동색, 연한 고동색, 밝은 고동색. Like, who cares at this point? Your colors are your own imagination. Like, the limits are as far as you can dream. 고동색 is it's more of a dark brown. It's like a dark yellowish brown. I don't use 고동색 though very much. I mean, it's a word, but 젓갈색. This one's similar to 갈색 that we learned before, but 적 is red. This is a Hanja word. Again, it's not Korean necessarily. 젓갈색. So now we have a red brown color. So this is a reddish brown, but it's still brown. Instead of having 고동, which is more of like a yellowish dark brown, this one's a reddish dark brown. But how would you say that color in English? You wouldn't say, oh, it's just brown. Korean has so many colors. It's so challenging to learn. No, in English, we would say reddish brown, right? And you don't need to learn like the word reddish brown in English necessarily, unless you're, again, trying to pick out paints from a list or crayons. But you're never going to say, oh, I painted my room a reddish brown. You just say, I painted it brown, right? If your friend asks you, oh, what kind of red? Then you pull out your little book where you wrote it down. You're like, oh, it was kind of like a dark 젓갈색 or whatever you want to do. You don't need to use these versions of colors in your everyday life. You can get away with just saying brown the same way you would in English. There are more. 함색 is a blackish brown color. So it's a really dark brown. It's like almost black. I'm not sure if this is chestnut or if I think this is chestnut. Yeah, I never really bothered looking this stuff up, like the origin. Yeah, chestnut. Like you don't normally need to know the origin of these. I just suddenly kind of got a bit curious. Yeah, so a chestnut color, which is like supposed to be a darker blackish brown color. Or 구리 is a regular Korean word that's like copper. This is the regular word for copper. 구리색 is also a color. Copper color is used for like kind of a brownish color, but I'm not exactly sure what shade that would be, but it's also a brown. Copper brown, I guess. When you go to the bakery and you're like, hey, can you write my name, happy birthday, Billy, on a cake for me? And they're like, sure. 무슨 색으로 해드릴까요? What color should I do it for you? Are you going to be like, oh, let me get a 진한 구리색? Like, no. You're just going to say 갈색 or brown색. Like, you don't need to be like, well, let me get a slightly bright, but a little bit thick, a little bit deep version of a reddish brown mixed together with a dark yellow brown and a bit of copper. Like, they're not freaking Picasso. You tell them what color you want. Like the book they might give you a little book that has like the options in the colors, and they might have one option that says 갈색, and maybe they'll have another version of brown. Maybe they have a 밤색, like a darker one. I don't know. You tell them the one you want on there. But if you don't have a list of colors, like you're painting your apartment and you're going to the hardware store, or the what do you call it, big box store, like you're going to Home Depot or Lowe's or something like that, you just tell them brown. So I'm giving you a bunch of these colors and how you can modify them. But again, it's not that complicated, because just like in English, you only need to say the color that's appropriate for the situation that you're in. You can just say brown and you're fine. You don't need to know these words. You can write them down and take notes in case someone else uses it in a specific situation. Like maybe some people are talking about like designing, and they say, oh, well, I put the header, I wrote it with more of like a blackish brown, and then the text I have more of a yellowish brown. Then they might use these colors if they're just like trying to distinguish the shades of brown or something. Besides that though, no, just learn the word 갈색 and you're fine. But if you want any other shade, just slap any word you want and then put sek at the end of it, and now you have that color. Okay, let me take a quick break. Let me go on to some more. 고동. Okay, I wasn't sure if the 고 was old, but that makes sense, because 동 is also like I think I might have said copper before, but brass, because copper is 구리. Is 진한 파란색 suddenly 남색? Kind of, yeah. A lot of the colors, like, for example, you can have a sky blue. Is sky blue the same thing as a light blue? Yes, it is. But who cares? That's the thing, is like, it's not a science experiment. It's not an exact science. There's a lot of overlap with the colors, which is the reason why when I made my color cheat sheet, it took me so long to make it. Because the information, I can put the information on like 100 times over in one day. It's not that big of a deal. The problem is, how do you organize colors when there's so much overlap? Do you make sky blue separate than regular blue and separate than from navy blue? I decided I wanted to for those cases, and I had different reasons for it. Other colors I combined. Other ones that are kind of vague that people would say, oh, it means this color, it means this color. I went and looked it up and found out it's the same color, stuff like that. But yeah, you can get this completely free. I actually just printed this out again this morning. I have another copy in my bookshelf, but I was too lazy to open up my bookshelf and grab the cheat sheet, so I just printed another one. Check the chat. Indigo is a made-up word. I think I actually heard that before. Something like that. It's not a real color. Remember that banana pudding and vanilla pudding are different paint colors. Yeah, banana pudding would be like more of a yellowish, right? And vanilla pudding wouldn't have a yellow tone. It would be more like close to eggshell kind of white, like an off-white. Could be useful in novels. Yeah, that's true. You want to be really descriptive. Like there's a reason to say that this person's, had a sky blue hat, like maybe that matches with their character, or they had a copper brown colored wallet, kind of makes it sound more refined than just saying 갈색, right? Like they cared about what color it was. So yeah, sure. It's just not going to be used in regular daily life. Like if, the police come up to you, they're like, okay, where did the criminal go? Like, oh, he went that way. Okay, what was he wearing? Well, you see, he had a reddish brown coat. He had a light dark yellow orange safety visor, and his tie was a deeper crimson. Like the police officer's gonna be like, dude, obviously you did it, because there's no way you're gonna remember those colors. But you're not gonna use them in your regular life. It comes from the Greek name for blue from India. Is that really? Indigo is the blue from India? Kind of funny. Is there a Korean version of Roy G. Biv? I'm sure there is, but I don't know. I don't know what that would be. I'm not sure what it is in English, to be honest, but I do remember learning about that in high school and then forgetting it. Yeah, 회색 is a 연한 검은색. You know what? You know what? Yes, you could do that, and it makes it gray. Gray, actually, you have a few choices. I've seen several choices, but two of the most common would be either 회색 or 쥐색. So 회색 is a gray color. 쥐색 literally is mouse color. What's the difference? You can find, if you Google them, like 회색 versus 쥐색 or whatever, you'll find people say, oh, well, this one's slightly darker, this one's slightly lighter. No, it's the same shade, but people might have different feelings on which one they feel is, oh, that one seems like it's a darker color. Just the same as we would in English. If you said to a person, what does navy blue look like? Is navy blue, I mean, obviously people would know it's darker than blue, but would they know how much darker? Sky blue versus blue, people would know that's lighter. But something like these two, they're both gray. Like people might say, oh, this one seems a little darker, or this one seems a little darker. It's the same color. If you want to make it clear that it's a darker version, just slap on that 진한 or 어두운 onto it, or 밝은, or whatever, 연한. So the color, people will have different perceptions, different opinions about what shade colors are. So I wanted to keep things simple and just let you know the official definitions, not how everyone might perceive it a little bit differently. Yeah, so there are lots of options for that. Now, one thing I also want to say, the 4 primary colors in Korean. So I'll write those down. Actually, there's a little bit more. We could go further. See, am I missing any others? Let me quickly do another check. 색, 핑크색, 검색, 색, 하얗다. 희다. Oh yeah, 희다 also. Okay, these are all of the pure Korean colors that are all verbs. And I know a few of them are a little lighter. This pen's kind of dying. 파랗다 for blue, 노랗다 for yellow, red, white. 하얗다 and 희다 are both white. 검다 and 까맣다 are both black. These are all of the Korean, pure Korean colors. But this isn't every color. As we learn, there's multiple versions of yellow or red or whatever. A lot of these will have other versions that didn't come from pure Korean. So they don't end with pa, but they'll end with 색. And it's not a color that's just from English, like pink or orange or something like that. For example, if we take, let's see, 하얗다 for white, or 희다 is also for white. If we were to take this one, there's another color. 백색. Pek is 한자. It's a Chinese word. It's the Chinese character for white. So literally 백색. Sek is normally a Chinese word anyway, which means color. So this means white. So 하얀색 using pure Korean means white color. 흰색 using pure Korean also means white color. And 백색 using Chinese word also means white color. So what's the difference? Well, first of all, again, as I said, they are all the same color. If you want to get really technical, we can look at the vowels. And if we ignore this, because this is from Chinese, we can just look at our pure Korean ones. 하얗다 has bright vowels, so it has a brighter feeling. 희다 does not have a bright vowel, it has more of a darker feeling, but they're both white. How can you have a darker white? Well, it's just less bright. But these are both white. 백색, however, is a pure Chinese word. It's straight from Chinese. This one, because it's pek, it's a Chinese word, it has a little bit more of a slightly fancy feel to it. And it's not just this color, but any color will have, like, if it has a version in pure Korean and a Chinese version, which most of these do, the Chinese version will sound, even though it has the same meaning, the same shade of color, it'll have a bit more of a fancy feel to it. So for white, Heksek. For red. Toksek. If you remember, I said tokkalsek was like a reddish brown. Well, the word, the Chinese word tok is red. It's a character, it means red. So literally toksek means red color. But it's not going to be, it might have a different usage, but if you do use it, it has more of a fancy kind of specific usage to it. If we go to parata for blue, you also have 청색. 청 is the 한자 for blue or green anyway, depending on what you're talking about. 청색 is also blue. It has a bit more of a fancy feeling to it, more like official feeling to it. Anyway, a lot of these have those types of alternate versions. Like for black, you can have like 흑. 흑 is the 한자 for black, so you can have 흑색. Also means black, but it just has more of a fancy feeling. Also a little bit less common. So while you do need to learn a couple dozen colors for Korean, on my cheat sheet I have I have all of them on my cheat sheet. I'm safe to say I have all of them on the cheat sheet. You'll learn a couple dozen colors, but that's it. You're not learning hundreds of colors to master Korean colors. You learn a couple dozen, just like you would in English. You know, red, yellow, green, blue, black, pink, and all that stuff. But then you do have to learn a few different shades because there will be different versions of them. But you don't have to learn hundreds and hundreds of colors to master Korean colors. All the ones on this sheet, there are 20 on this sheet, and most of them have a second version. So just say 40, but a lot of them are ones you already know anyway. Like you don't really need to learn hanersek if you know the word haner. You don't need to learn the word kumsek for gold if you know the word kum for gold. Kind of like that. A lot of these are just like that anyway. So yeah. I'm going to check the chat for a second. Primary colors can't be made by mixing. Secondary colors are mixed. Okay. Yes. Many people asking me to do Korean analysis for group name that they want. I don't take suggestions that way. I only take suggestions from my Patreon members. That's just a special thanks to my Patreon members for supporting me, is that I let them pick the groups that I let them nominate as well. They nominate the groups and then people will vote on those. And then I take the most popular choices, put them into a vote, and my Patreon members get to pick the next group. I've never taken any suggestions from the regular YouTube comments just because it wouldn't be fair to my Patreon members. You can make primary colors using secondary and other colors. You just need the right shades. I don't know. It's too complicated for me. I'm not a color. I don't know about color. How do I join your Patreon? It's patreon.com/GoBillyKorean. Or you can search Go Billy Korean Patreon on Google. It'll also show you. There also should be a link in this video in the description box that goes to my Patreon page. I probably will do another vote sometime this summer because I'm going to be going to Korea, so I'm not going to be making another series for a couple months. But sometime while I'm in Korea, before I come back to the US, I'm going to be doing another post on Patreon asking for suggestions because I do want to do another series sometime this summer before the summer is over. I don't know what group it's going to be. This time I might say it needs to be a girl group just because I've never done a girl group. Yeah, I don't think I've ever done a full girl group. I did twice, but I didn't do all the members. I only did the foreign language speakers. So I did kind of do twice before, but I haven't done any other groups before. So we'll see, but I'll make a post about that sometime this summer. Get suggestions. I mean, you can only watch so many videos of a bunch of guys doing aegyo to each other. We love girl groups. Yay. Do I have to, and once I join, can I make a suggestion or do we have to wait? I mean, anyone can make a suggestion at any time, but I will make an actual post like where it's better to make it when I finally do the post, which will be again sometime in the summer, because that will be the one that I look at when I'm grabbing my suggestions for who to put on the vote. So it'll start off with someone will say, hey, please do this group or whatever. And a bunch of people will click the voting button, the thumbs up button on there, and I'll count. I literally count who suggests things and how many votes those get. And I take the ones with the most suggestions, the most votes, and I put those into a spreadsheet, and I'll organize the ones that are most popular and then make a list. And then the one who got the most votes the first time might not necessarily be the one who wins the actual vote, because that'll be a separate vote that I'll put to my Patreon members. And if it's really, really close, I might make a third vote where YouTube members just get to, pick the final group. But it always starts from Patreon. Rise, R-I-I-Z-E? I don't know them. They don't really do much aegyo. Oh, thank God. I mean, I think aegyo is fine. But what I don't like is forced aegyo. Like, you can tell when someone's doing aegyo because their producer told them versus when they want to do it. If they want to do it, I like it because it's obnoxious and it's funny. But if they're doing it to like pretend, it's when it's cringy. Like they normally don't do it, and then they're like, "Oh, I love you, fans," and they like do all the kissy hearts and everything to the camera. I'm like, come on, like no one believes that. But then when they're just doing it to be funny, that's fun. That's fine. I like that. Which girl groups will you suggest? That will be up to Patreon members. I might just say any girl group is fine. Make your suggestions. But I don't know. I'm not only going to do one group either. Last year I did this year I did already 2. Last year I also did 2, I think. I also did Monsta X, ATs, and Stray Kids recently, within the past year. I did those 3. And yeah, I definitely do have my favorite members for each group that I go through. Okay. So that's the basic colors. Now I can keep going through colors, but honestly, I won't waste your time. If you want to get the cheat sheet, it has a lot more of these colors as well. Just get the cheat sheet. It's free. I'm not trying to sell you anything. Just go on my Patreon. You can sign up for Patreon for free. The free tier gets all of these. There are 12 currently, and I actually have another 8 coming up soon. So you'll get a bunch of cheat sheets completely free without paying me a cent. So please get this. It helps. I like when people can just download my stuff and, I don't have to answer a bunch of questions because it's all right here. Okay. So someone had asked, I don't remember who, someone in the chat had asked about like meanings or like feelings associated with colors. And in Korean, yes, Korean also, just like English, has feelings associated with the colors, just like we do in English, but the uses aren't the same. Like in English, we might say, green is associated with like having a green thumb, right? Green is associated with money, right? Or green is associated with being envious. We have all those associations in English, but Korean, it'll be different. Korean will have, red is associated with this, or black is associated with this. So they don't match, but they do exist. I'll go over just a couple of them. Because there are a lot, but I'm trying to think, which ones do I want to go over? I think I'll go after, okay. I'll do a few. I want to go over black first. I'll just go over a few of the most common ones. If you are an advanced Korean speaker, there are a lot more. But if you are just looking for what's going to be immediately useful to me as a beginner or an intermediate learner, that's the ones I want to cover for today. Who is your bias in Stray Kids? Oh, I say my bias in Stray Kids. You're going to have to watch the series. I clearly had a bias, but I'm not going to tell you. You have to watch it. And I'll say in their video who my bias is. But I mean, it's not technically a bias. It's just my favorite member of the group. Because I don't know. I feel like a bias is like if you're a fan of the group and that's the person that you're a huge fan of. Like that's your main member in the group. And I'm not that way because I don't listen to K-pop very much in the first place. So I would just call them my favorite member in the group like that. And yeah, I did pick my favorite member in Stray Kids. In every group that I've done, I always pick a favorite member. Togori. Yeah, it's type of jacket, like inside, like for like hanbok and stuff like that. Welcome. Yeah, Che would be a bias in Korean. Your favorite, literally, Che is most and A is loved. So it's your favorite like that. What if the color is mixed? Oh, you can say 섞다 is to mix, 섞이다 is to be mixed. So you can say like 하얀색을 조금 섞은 or 하얀색이 조금 섞인 검정색 or whatever you want to say. So you would use to be mixed or to mix. Passive, this one would be common, like a black that has some green mixed in it, something like that. But this would be more for advanced usage, I'd say, but you can use this as well. I'm not really sure when you would need that though, because it's really would just be for like paints. You're talking about like paint colors. You can also use, I believe it's 돌다. 돌다 would be like leaning a certain direction, like it's turning a certain direction literally. Like 하얀색으로 도는 whatever color you want, like the color slightly going over to white. Like if you want to say it's kind of in that direction of white. I would just say stick with 섞이다 though, because this would be the most straightforward, like mixed with, or I mixed this color with this color. If you want to actively mix something, that's 섞다. 섞이다 is if you're describing the color as having been mixed. It's like mixed with this, kind of like that. Pretty sure it's 돌다. I've never used that as the regular verb. I always just use it conjugated already, but I think it's originally from 돌다. I could check. I think it's in my Anki deck actually. If you have that, it should be there too. Okay. Your bias from ATs is also my bias, but I won't say who. I think my bias from ATs is everyone's bias, but sometimes it's hard. Sometimes I pick a favorite member for a reason. Like the favorite member I pick from any group is because I'm a Korean teacher. So I might pick the member that has the clearest speaking. That's a hint sometimes. I might pick the member that loves dad jokes the most. That's another hint. But if I don't look at it as a Korean teacher, I probably would pick different members for all of my favorite members. Like if I don't think about it from a learner perspective at all, I just think about it as who do I like most as a person? Like who would I want to hang out with? That's always going to be someone different, but I keep that a secret because it's not really important. I always like to pick out my favorite, because I'm doing this as a Korean as an analysis video as a Korean teacher. So I'm going to pick my favorite member as a Korean teacher. But as just a general, a goofball or whoever, it might be a different person than you'd expect. Like the person I feel like, oh, I would totally get along with this person. Sometimes I've seen a few people like that in the groups where I'm like, oh, I could be this guy's friend. But mostly it's not that case. Yeah. Okay. So first of all, the color black in Korean is associated with evil. I'm not going to actually, just in case this doesn't get clipped, it really out of context. They use the color black in Korean for negative uses. I swear, this is not the year I get canceled. So I'll give you a few examples. 검은, black, 속마음. 속 is inside and 마음 is like your desires, your heart, basically. So like this would be like a black mind, a black heart, basically. And it's used for just, someone who's really like they've got a bad heart, basically. You can also use it for something like that's pretty straightforward. 돈, for money. 검은 통. 검은 돈. Sorry, not 통. I said 통 by example. 검은 통 would be like a black container. 검은 돈. So black money is considered basically bribe money. I'm not sure what we would call this in English, because it wouldn't be blood money. That would be a different meaning. Black money. Anyway, yeah. So they would use this for like a bribe, or for money that's used for bad purposes would be considered like that as well. And a really common way that you can use it as an adverb is from the verb gamata. So gamata, to be black, can be used as gamake. So it's a blackly. And in this case, it's used to mean nothing's there, like black as in absent of everything, like you can't see, basically. So you can use gamake to completely forget something. Ita is to forget. So if you something, gamake ita, you blackly forgot about something. Like my mind went black is what it means. So in English, we would think mind went black as like you went unconscious, right? But in Korean, it's used for forgetting something. So, 정말 까맣게 잊고 있었네. Like I was just totally forgetting about that. I was completely forgetting. Or 까맣게 잊었어요. I completely forgot. Like you can say 완전히 잊었어요. That's fine. But 까맣게 잊었어요 is more like completely, like 100%. Like it wasn't even on my mind. Oh, Mike, minute 74. Minute 74. Wow, is that a thing? Thank you, Mike. I didn't know that was a thing. Blood money would be 빨간. No, they wouldn't. Dirty money? Maybe, yeah, maybe dirty money? Yeah, I think that would be good. But yeah, so it would be that sort of meaning. Let's check the chat. Chica Baduk, are you saying it's associated with evil? The color, okay, the color. Some of my no, I'm not gonna make jokes about it. Okay, so gamake for completely forgetting something about it. You'll see this one a lot, actually. It's fairly common. There are some for white. White is, as you'd expect, associated with purity, like pure, clean, that sort of association with white, just like we have in English. But there aren't that many expressions that they use for white. Like I have written down from a previous lesson, to stay up completely the whole night. They'll call it to stay up white the night, basically. But that's not that commonly used. So I'm trying to focus on the really common ones. So let's go on to red. Red is associated with lies, although there are other associations too. So in English, we would say white lie. They actually can say white lie in Korean as well. But red is associated with a lie typically, but they don't use the regular word 빨간. I'll just write 빨갛다 is the original verb. They use 새 빨갛다, which I believe is more of a completely, like a deep, it's more of like a deep, it's a prefix that you can see on some verbs. 새, this pen is dying. I'm going to throw away this pen. Okay. 새 빨갛다. So if you see 새 빨간 거짓말. So a deep red, they use deep red, and then 거짓말, which would be a scarlet lie, a deep red lie, right? They use that for like just a ridiculous, like a crazy lie. You could say 하얀, like white. 하얀 거짓말 is a white lie, or 선의의 거짓말, I think they also say, like a good-natured lie. But anyway, yeah, red is a lie. 완전 새빨간 거짓말이야. Like that's a downright lie. Yeah, the black pen, Jinx said it at the same time. Did someone say it at the same time? I didn't hear you, so it doesn't count. You can't say Jinx over the internet. Because there's lag. You didn't say it at the same time as me. Even if you did, it was just your internet lagging. Okay, blue. can I not write? What's wrong with my writing? I swear it's not like my Korean necessarily. It's just my writing in general in English is bad. Blue kind of has a like a hopeful, a young and hopeful feeling to it. Like you're still young, there's still lots of hope is the color blue. So a couple examples. If you say someone has a blue dream, a blue hope, 푸른 희망, or a 푸른 꿈 for a dream, that's like saying they are, it's like a dream from when you're young and hopeful. Like it's a very hopeful dream, like a hopeful hope or a hopeful dream, a wishful dream. Like that's sort of like innocent and young hope or dream. This isn't very common though, but it's just a simple example. If you say someone is very young, just like in English, it can be used like negative, like they're still wet behind the ears. So 파랗다, we learned 파랗다 means blue. Well, 새파랗다. Notice that a lot of these uses where they do like idioms use 새, just deep. Now you can't stick 새 onto other words, which is why I didn't teach you when I teach you the 연한 and 진한, because it only works with the pure Korean ones, but it means a deep meaning. So deep blue means very blue. So deep blue, which is used in a negative way, like, oh, you're so young, as in like you're so inexperienced. And if you say like 새파랗게, like for example, 젊다 is to be youthful, not young as in a child, but young as in not old. 젊다, 새파랗게 젊다, to be young, very deep blue. You're very deep blue young. Like you're really wet behind the ears. Like you're so young, so full of hope, young. It's the negative way. You can say someone's like, yeah, you're too young. 새파랗게 젊다. Or, there are a couple others, but I think I'll keep it to here. Yellow is sick. In English, we would say yellow is cowardly, right? Well, in Korean, it's not. In Korean, yellow is sick. So if they say, oh yeah, if you say your face is yellow, I think it's 누렇게. Yeah. I can use like that. So 얼굴이 누렇게 뜨다. 뜨다 is just to appear, like comes up. So your face appears, your face comes up. 누렇다 is to be, as you remember, 누렇다 is like 노랗다, but it has more of the deep, darker sort of negative feeling from the dark vowel. So your face looks yellowish. This is like someone looks really sick. 얼굴이 누렇게 뜨다. Someone looks like you look really yellow, like really sick. Like your face doesn't have much of, it doesn't look nice and bright. It looks really like yellowish. So you're sick. Or it doesn't have to be 누렇다 though. It also works with 노랗다. This is an expression I haven't used very much. I've seen it once before though. This one is pronounced 떡 잎 if you read it one at a time, but due to sound change rules, it becomes 떡잎. 떡잎. So 떡잎 is the first part of a leaf that appears from a growing seed. So when you plant a seed and here's the ground, it starts coming out and you get this like one little leaf, right? That first leaf you get is called the 떡잎. The 떡잎 is 노랗다, yellow. literally, the first leaf is yellow is a way of saying that because the leaf is already sick, the first leaf is already sick, that means you have no possibility of something happening. Like, it's dead from the beginning. That sort of meaning. Like, it's already, what do you call that? Dead in the water? What's the expression when it's like, there's no chance of it happening? Like, even the beginning is off to a bad start. That's what you mean. 떡잎이 노랗다. So the start of the first leaf coming out is yellow. It's already sick. You're done. Like, don't even bother. Kind of like that. 누렇다 compared to 노랗다 has the dirty, impure connotations attached to it. Yeah, the reason is because 누렇다, not because it has a dirty meaning to it, but because it's those dark vowels that has a negative feeling to it. And in that case with yellow, that negative feeling of yellow gets associated with sick and stuff like that. But in itself, 누렇다, you can also use it as a regular color. It doesn't have to mean that you're describing the color as being dirty or gross or revolting or anything like that. It just means darker yellow. But it gets used in idioms to mean that sort of darker yellow too, which is how it's associated with that. Like how we use green to mean inexperienced. That's right. Yeah, in Korean, they would use blue for that sort of meaning. What is that? Okay. And there are some others. They're like gold. I didn't go over white. I didn't go over a few other idioms, but there are a bunch of those. I would say you don't really need to worry about most of those, though. I gave you a few that I think are fairly common enough to bother learning, but you don't need to stress about them. It's only going to be more for like, I mean, when would you say that sort of stuff in English too? It's going to be like when you're reading a book, you're going to see it. If someone's giving a speech, you're going to see it. Or if you just want to sound really fancy, you can use those sorts of idioms. But basically, I just wanted to say that they don't match with English at all. So don't go around saying like, oh, that's you know, his face turned green with envy. They're going to be like, what? Was this, are you talking about the Hulk? So it doesn't really match with the colors. Those are all based on culture. Yeah, 청춘, the green blue spring. That's right. So about that, yeah, in Korean, blue is used to mean green. Whenever you're talking about nature, they actually use, you can also use 파란 as well, but typically 푸른색 would be green, although the word is blue. Literally, it's like more like saying blue, because we learned that 파랗다 and 푸르다 are also both blue. So normally the verb would be 푸르다. So 파랗다 was the one we learned before. And both of these mean blue, but what's the difference? Well, if I tell you that 파랗다 and 푸르다 both mean blue, you can look at the vowels and tell what the difference is. 파, 다, oh, bright blue. 푸, 드, darker blue. But they're both blue. They're both blue. Like, you could say it's still bright blue. You could still call it 푸르다. You're not wrong. It just has that nuance of being darker because of these vowels. Anyway, 푸른색 would be like more of a deep blue color, and that's used for describing green in nature. Again, that's not a Korean only thing. They do this in Japanese, Chinese, and I'm sure a bunch of other languages. I don't know where it originally came from, but ask me again in a year. Maybe I'll have come up with, I have actually an outline for a video about this from a year ago, but I haven't finished the outline. I write outlines and I throw them into my notebook and then come back to them later and add stuff as I get more information, because I'm not ready to make a video about it yet. But yeah, so this is green. If you're talking about like green mountain, like green grass, green, anything like that is this, but it's also for ocean. So in which case we would say blue. And so yeah, green mountains, green grass, those would also be 푸른색. But if you're talking about green traffic lights, they use the word 파란 from 파랗다. Typically you'd say like 파란색 or 파란불 if you're talking about the light itself. The 파란불, like, yeah, 파란불이야, 가. Like, hey, it's a green light. go. But you're saying paranbul. You're saying it's a blue light. So it's kind of confusing. Just know that they call it blue. Now, if you were to say cho록bul for a green light at a traffic stop, everyone will know what you're talking about. They'll say, oh, it sounds fine. But if they think about it for a second, they'll be like, wait, no, we say paranbul for that. So yeah, it's just one of those things. I believe Japanese does the exact same thing for blue and green. But yeah, so if you see something about like, if you see someone talking about how like green and blue can both use the word blue, don't be confused by that. It only applies when you're talking to nature. Like imagine that go back in time like 2,000 years ago and you're standing outside. What are you going to say is blue? Like there's nature, there's grass, there's trees, there's mountains. Oh, that's blue. Like there isn't an artificial blue color that you could describe as being blue and green. So they call them the same color. That's why these were pretty much the same color, still used today. But you're not going to call other objects like I have this like mouse pad I use every day. You're not going to call this green, right? Or do I have anything green here? I don't have anything green. You're not going to call this blue ever. You're not going to ever say, oh, that's 파란색이네요. 푸른색이요. Like you're not going to ever say that because it's green. You're not talking about nature. You're just talking about green. So it only works with the color green in nature. Specifically, like forests, grass are called blue. Besides that, no, everything else is going to be called the actual color that it is. But it's just it's like a remnant from older usage, which I'm guessing would have come through China. And I don't know what country originally started it, but China does the same thing. Like I said, until I can research that in detail to including where it came from, I'm not going to be making a video yet. Because it's actually more of a big topic. There's other things that also do that too. Okay. For some reason, the green traffic light is paran색. Oh, yeah, that's what I was talking about. You might have written that right before I even mentioned it. Sea and sky and berries only. Yeah, but the thing is, sea and sky makes sense that it would be blue, right? Because it already is blue. We would call the ocean blue. So it's not really confusing about that. Same with the sky, that we'd always say the sky is blue anyway. But they would also call that as blue. Berries are blue because they're blue. But the green, like green grass, green mountain, that's not blue. Well, yeah, it's also blue in Korean. But you would only use that for nature. You're not going to use that like if you're walking around like a video game and you're like, wow, look at the 푸른산 봐봐. Like you wouldn't say that in a video game because you're not talking about nature, you're talking about a game. So yeah, it's for like specific uses that you can still use it for that. And it's more of like a poetic feeling. I remember there's something about association with the jade stone in Chinese. Yeah, there is a reason for it. I don't believe it has to do with jade because it's older than that sort of concept. Jade was associated with... Oh, I actually did. There's something else that's not coming to my mind right now. There's another word that's associated with the jade, which it was like the origin of a different word that's not coming to me right now. If you know what I'm talking about, there's a different association with the hanta for jade that led to another word that I did a video about that I can't remember what the topic was now. Was that for... Oh, it's not coming to my mind. There's something else. There's something else with jade, with the jade association. One of the hanta videos that I did. Yeah, not ok, but that's the hanta for it. But there was an association with that led to a different hanta. But I can't remember. Okay, so that's pretty much the lesson for, or I guess I shouldn't say the lesson. I didn't really do a lesson. That's pretty much like the review that I wanted to do today. I didn't want to go over every single color again because you could do that on your own. And there are really a lot of colors, but I did want to go over some of the more unique colors. And I'm going to open it up for questions. There's still a lot more we could talk about, but let's just kind of hang out for the next 30 minutes. I'll take some questions, anything you want to know. It's possible they decided to put the part of the character from jade in the color when they unified the characters. I see what you mean. Yeah, a lot of that takes research because Chinese characters are not the same as what they were when they were written. They don't have the same meanings. They don't have the same sounds. They don't have the same way they are written. And a lot of times what you get is someone will look at a character and they'll say, oh, this character represents this. And really that representation is a modern representation, and it originally wasn't even written like that. So that's the case with a lot of characters. Also, a lot of characters were made, I believe there's called 형성자. I think they're called. They're characters that were formed on purpose. So that doesn't mean like it was an old pictograph of, it was a picture of a man reading a book to his child. Like, that is fake. It is using the radicals. It'll be using the pieces that represent that. But originally it was created on purpose just to have a specific sound that they needed. Like in Chinese, they're saying, hey, like imagine some guy 1,000 years ago being like, well, I need a word for this word that we say, which is, I don't know, tea kettle. I need a word for tea kettle. And we say in Chinese, we say 주전자, say whatever the word is. I don't know what the Chinese word. 주전자 would be the Korean word for a kettle. So I need the 주전자, I need the word for tea kettle, but I don't have a character for that. So let's make one. Let's use this radical, which has a person holding out something to someone, and the radical for water and heat. Okay, but if someone looks at this, they won't be able to read it because they won't know what that character is. They've never seen it. So in order to make it so that they can read it, I'm going to add one more radical on the far left. That means something else, but that has the sound I want. Let's say the word in Chinese is ju or something. I don't know. That's the word for tea kettle, ju. So I'm going to find a different character in Chinese. I'm not making this up right now. This is what they did for majority of the characters today. So I'm going to find another word in Chinese that has the sound of ju, that doesn't not match what I want. Okay, I found a word that means, it means like a bath, but it sounds like ju. Well, it's not a bath, but it's kind of like hot water. So let's put that radical, let's put that character and smash it on the left side of this other character I made. And there we go. There's our new character. So someone can look at that who doesn't know what it means. They could see the left character and know how to pronounce it. They'll say, oh, it's ju. They'll look at the little meanings and they'll say, oh, it's a person giving something, giving hot water. Oh, maybe that's the word for 주전자, right? Maybe that's the word that I was looking for. So that's how a lot of these characters were made. I'm kind of simplifying the process because it wasn't one dude making these characters. Like that wasn't his job. At least I don't think so. That would be a terrible, like an internship. Requires 10 years Hanja making experience. The Hanja hasn't been around for 10 years yet. Anyway, yeah, so that's kind of how a lot of characters were made. And then someone looking at the character now will be like, oh, look at this. It represents this. And the reason it's a bath on the left side is because in the olden days, they would take baths using tea. And, this is kind of what happens. And then you'll get actual books published that will analyze the characters and talk about how it used to represent that. When in reality, there's some poor dude, scholar in ancient China or whatever that was like, working really hard to create something that could be that character. So that's how a lot of the characters are made. Not just the complicated ones, but a lot of simpler ones too. And they'll use pieces in those hanja called radicals. Radical in Korean is busu. If you're ever wondering, if you want to look up the radicals, there aren't that many in Chinese. Busu are those pieces of hanja. And they are made by basically compressing a full-size character. Like maybe you have the character, actually I wrote that wrong. For example, maybe you have the character for water, which is su. This character would be read as su for water. But if you use it as a radical, you can't do this because it takes up too much space. So what they would do is I think it was that. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure this is the radical for water. So if you see a character that has this on the side, it's used to kind of signify, hey, this is the water character. And a lot of the big characters will have a separate version that's used as radicals. Anyway, so there are a lot of those and there are different versions of it. But the radical version, the little version, is called a busu. Busu would be the pieces of hanja. And that's how the characters are assembled. You would take, let me just give you one. Okay, this is the character meaning 말. This means words, but it's not read as 말. It comes from Chinese. It's read as all. If you know Japanese, this is what they call ko. Like if you see Nihongo, this is the ko character. You probably already knew that. But how do you make this character? Well, it's combined a few things. This radical on the left side is actually it's a compressed version of this character, which is on, I believe. And it's read as on, and it means speech. So they have this radical, which means speech. And this radical here is ku. This radical here is ku, and it means a mouth. So you have speech and you have a mouth. But then what the heck is this thing doing here? That's 5. That's 5. Oh. But that's how you get the sound of oh in this character. I believe that's where the sound comes from. So you can have a character that's read. I swear I almost dropped it on myself again, but it didn't. It fell on the carpet this time. You can have a character that's read in a certain way. I don't think that does anything to the meaning. It's simply just meant to represent speaking words with your mouth. Oh, which is how you get the word oh, which is for like words, or more specifically nowadays, language. Let me see if I can wipe this off my floor before it stains my floor. But my carpet's not as important as my shirt. I really don't want to get it on my shirt, but my carpet's not as big of a deal. Let's see. I'm just wiping it out. Okay, yeah, I think this is going to come out of the carpet. One second. We're good. We're good. It's not like last week. Okay, I'm still here. I'm just scrubbing my carpet really quick so it doesn't stain. Yeah, I think that's good. Okay, that's like 90% out. No one will ever see the carpet stain anyway. That is correct, Billy. Thank you. Chinese characters always look like someone has drawn something. Yeah, so you'll see a lot of Chinese characters, but sometimes they are really cool. Like sometimes they actually are, like, this is the original character. I'm not doing this really well, but this would have been the original character, like original for water. Nowadays it's this, but originally it started out as this. And then when you start writing it more quickly, you know, you get like that, right? And that's how it transformed over time from this into this. Now, some of the characters like that, like a lot of the radicals, are really cool that they have those origins, that they originally came from a picture, like a drawing of what they're meant to represent. But you're not going to be able to make a whole language just out of that, right? Like, yeah. So anyway, that's what a lot of them are. So a lot of the characters are made. I believe it's called Hyungsungja. I'd have to check this out because it's not something I normally look up, but I'm pretty sure they're called Hyungsungja. Let me just double check that. Yeah. So those would be the characters that were created by combining other characters together. I can use Chinese characters as painting. You know, actually, I used to do that. When I was first living in Korea, I had already studied Japanese prior to that for about almost 3 years. Like 2 years or so, I'd already been studying Japanese. So when I started doing Korean and then learning that Korean used Chinese characters in their language, like 60%-ish of their language is straight from the Chinese language, I thought, and I started learning more about Hanja, and I thought, oh, these are so cool. So I would actually spend some time and I would practice writing Hanja using like my own script. I don't think I have any examples anymore, but I would make my own script, my own version of Chinese characters to write them as cool as possible. I gotta find it, but like, see if I can still do it. So if I was trying to write, let me get an example. Let me get an example so I can show you now that I mentioned it. Okay, let's just get the Hanja for For cool. For high. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I just want to make sure I don't do it wrong while I'm demonstrating. Yeah. Okay, so this is just the hanta for ko. It's also for the last name of ko, I believe, too. So that's how you normally write it. Sometimes people write it like really like fancy. You'll see like something like that. I didn't do a very good job over here, but like some people write it really fancy, or maybe they'll write it like, you know, like really blockish. They might write it like this, like if they're trying to write it neat. Well, I would completely go the other direction. I had fun trying to write hanta that would almost fill up the space. So normally when you write hanta, it's kind of supposed to be contained within slightly a vertically stretched box. So what I would do is I would try to write it where it would fill up more of the box in my head. So I would do more like this. Let's see if I can try it. I'm trying to imitate what I used to do. And it would be like my own version of hanta. I would do it a little nicer. I'd spend more time on it. No, I think it would be like a circle or something like that. So I'd use like circles, whatever. This one I'll do a little better. It's not that messy. So I would do something like that. And I would write lots of stuff. Or maybe even I would do it like that. And I would write lots of stuff using my own version of hanta like that. I remember I used to have fun like writing like notes, or I would write like a poem that I found written in hanta, and I'd write it with my own little system. Because it technically is still legible. If you know hanta, you can still read it. But it just kind of made it, I tried to make it look like it was older style of hanta, and I would write it with a brush that I had. Anyway, I thought it was cool. I thought it was fun. So I remember I really liked hanta from the very beginning. But then I didn't really get into it that much beyond the basics. I mean, you might think I know a lot of hanta, but I really don't. I know all the basic characters, like I can read and write a lot, but it's not like beyond surface level knowledge. Like the same type of stuff that a regular Korean would learn at school, that sort of knowledge. I'm not like a master at it or anything like that. A lot of people know way more than me, people who've studied it. So does Koryo. Yeah. Funny thing, Koryo is where the word Korea comes from, was trying to write Koryo, Korea, like that. Can you teach hanta using your own script? I don't think I should do that. Yeah, check out Uncle Hansi for the ancient characters. Interesting. I actually have a book. Somewhere. I have a book, but I have to pull up my background because my background right now is blocking my little bookshelf. But I actually have a book for the original, the ancient way of writing hanta as well. But you can even find a lot of them on Naver. Naver Dictionary will have the original way that they're written. And it's really cool sometimes, like what the character used to be written like. I was really interested in bone script for a while, which is also like an older version that they would find written on like, I think like the back of like turtle shells and on bones and some stuff like that. Just an older, like a very simple way of writing it. And it's kind of cool to see that the characters we have today, a lot of them still like a lot of the characters then still exist today. So you can go and kind of read it, which is really weird that you're reading, like you can recognize characters from so long ago, although the meanings nowadays would be changed. Still, it's kind of cool. I just never really got much into that. I never pursued that. I was mostly just trying to focus on how to actually speak Korean. Number cheat sheet. Yes, I also have a numbers cheat sheet with all the numbers. Sunny Southpaw says, I'm confused when to use Sino-Korean numbers and native Korean numbers. Yeah, I would say check out my number cheat sheet and my counters cheat sheet. So with counters, everything that's a physical object is counted with pure Korean. The only exception, the major exception, is your age, which can be counted with pure Korean, but everything else is pure Korean is for a physical object, no matter what you're counting. Sino-Korean is most often with anything that's measured. So any distances, measurements like weight, height, length, like how many miles is it? How many liters? Anything with metric is done with Sino-Korean. But besides that, Sino-Korean is not used for too many counters. And then as far as other numbers, I do have a guide at the bottom of my numbers cheat sheet, which tells you exactly when you're going to use Sino-Korean or pure Korean. Okay, I'll just stick around for another 10 minutes, 10 more minutes of questions, and then we'll end it for today. I have no problem knowing when to use Sino or native, but I'm very slow at counting large numbers. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you there. I have a problem. It's not just Korean, but I have a problem working with big numbers in my head. Like when I see a large number, it's hard for me to figure out how many zeros there are to even convert it into Korean in the first place. And then, yeah, I just have some issues with dealing with larger numbers in my head, in English as well. So it's kind of hard for me too, but I usually don't have to do that anyway in Korean. Like when you're talking about how much something costs, it's always in the thousands. It's always like chon or man or shimman or pengman. And that's most of like 99% of the cases are within that amount. And I can usually handle that. But when you start getting into bigger ones, you know, chonman and ok and all that stuff, then it gets a little bit trickier for me, but usually don't have to work with that large of number anyway. My kid is much better at it though than me. He can easily like go through all the numbers. But that should be expected since he's learning Korean. Uncle Hansa is Richard Sears. Oh, okay, I guess a YouTuber guy that does like Chinese analysis videos. That would be cool. Although keep in mind, any Chinese analysis is not going to be the same as for Korean unless it's something you're talking about way back in the past, like pre-Tang Dynasty in China. So like before the 1200s, before the year 1000 is going to be about the same. After that though, when Chinese characters started getting adapted into Korean, the sounds that the characters made at the time in northern Chinese dialects near Korea were permanently set in the Korean language. And the characters they used also were permanently set into Korean. So what happens is you might learn a character in Mandarin or Cantonese today, and it's not going to match with Korean anymore because the Korean reading and the Korean meaning originally came from something from about 800 to 1,000 years ago or more. But if you're talking about stuff prior to that, then you should be on the same page, which is one of the reasons I don't recommend learning Hanja through Japanese resources or Korean resources through Japanese because they don't match. Especially modern day Mandarin really will not match with a lot of the stuff. Like the original meaning of a character will have nothing to do with the meaning that they use in Korean or Chinese. So you'd have to be a bit careful about that. Which is actually kind of cool. Like you can learn like, oh, this character originally came from this, which has nothing to do with what we use it for today. Mandarin or Cantonese, same or totally different. Cantonese uses also their own version, but it's closer to traditional, I believe. Taiwanese, I think, is the only one that I know of that uses all the traditional characters still. Korean also uses traditional characters, like more original ones. Obviously not the original, but the traditional fancier versions is in Korea. And then Japanese has their own version as well for a lot of them. But if you're asking how are Mandarin and Cantonese different, I'm not going to be able to give you a good answer because my knowledge on that is very superficial. That's the thing about being exposed to a language at a young age. Children are like sponges. Yeah. That's why today in Korea, they teach kids English from preschool because you get started at an early age. It's going to be really easy to keep going and learn on top of that. Versus imagine knowing nothing about English and starting to learn it as an adult. Like, yeah, good luck. You're not going to learn very much at all. I don't know any Korean person who started learning as an adult, like actually who didn't learn it from childhood. Like maybe they grew up in the countryside and they didn't go to school and then they started learning English as an adult and were able to speak it well. I don't know anyone like that. It's always you start as a child and then you really put in a lot of effort when you're in high school, but you've been learning since you were a baby. Korean's the same. If you start from childhood, you don't have to go through as much effort later on to learn it. So starting earlier is better, but you can't really do that. You can't choose to start learning Korean as a child. It would have to be something that you're in that environment to do anyway. Because you can't pick up a book as a 6-year-old and start learning a language. Kids just can't do that type of thing. I don't know, maybe if you're like a savant or something, like some child prodigy maybe, but majority of people can't do anything like that. Jeju language is accent. So Jeju language is more of a language. It's between a dialect and a language, as I'll say. Some people will be more insistent that it's a separate language. Other people will say it's simply a dialect. I'm kind of more leaning toward a dialect, but it's not the same as other dialects. It's definitely more of a language. It's more of a language than other dialects. It's more of a dialect than other dialects, if that makes sense. But I don't know if I would call it a completely separate language, just because the way it works fundamentally is the same, but it does have like 70% of its words are different than native Korean from the mainland. So yeah, I'm fine with either word, but I wouldn't say accent. It's definitely not an accent. Jihoon. Yeah, if you look at the Cantonese, modern Cantonese is more similar to Korean pronunciation. Why? I'm not sure. But Korean pronunciation today of Chinese words is based on the Tang Dynasty around then and after, which would have been Northern Chinese dialects. So Northern Chinese dialects from like 600 to 800 years ago, those are the sounds that Korean has now for Chinese words, which strangely is the same or similar to Cantonese today. So how did the Northern dialects move down to Hong Kong and like the Cantonese area? I have no idea. But yeah, Mandarin doesn't really sound very much at all. But Cantonese, a lot of the words match, a lot of the sounds match more with Korean, especially like numbers. You can really hear it in those too. Okay. Any other questions? I'll take just like 2 more questions before we stop for today. And then next week, we're going to have another regular lesson. Again, today wasn't a lesson. Today is just kind of more of a fun, casual live stream. We're just reviewing colors. I just wanted to hang out, you know. I don't want to be lonely on Sunday. Kind of fun to hang out with all you guys. Just talk about Korean. Let me scroll up and see if I missed any others. The ancient Chinese were one imaginative group of people. Well, it's a big country, but yeah. Today was fun. I learned a lot. Oh, nice. Native Korean numbers is hard. I prefer Sino-Korean. I mean, Native Korean, though, you only have to worry about a few. But such things happen. Some words get borrowed by other languages and keep the form as a foreign word while the original word evolves into the original language. Oh, that's something I didn't even mention today, because we're learning about colors. And I've said this before. So if you're already hearing it again, I apologize. I'm not trying to like bug you by saying the same thing over and over again. But if you're new, 보라색 is actually not, well, we think so. It's not actually a Korean word. We think, I say we like linguists. I'm not a linguist, but I'm still saying we because I want to feel like I'm cool, like a linguist, even though I'm not. 보라 is believed to have been from a Mongolian word for their bird, which was like por or something like that. Pora. It was something kind of sounded similar. I think I heard someone say in modern day Mongolian, there is a similar word like this. It was for a type of bird that they use for hunting that had a purplish colored breast. And that's where you get the color 보라색, because it's not from pure Korean. There is nothing like this. It doesn't have any meaning in pure Korean. So they think it came from Mongolian, which was also around the 1200s when the Mongolian were all over Korea and took over Jeju Island. And there were several words from Mongolian that got into Korean at the time, but this is probably the most prevalent one today, would be 보라색, the color purple. But that's just a theory, a Korean theory. I'm pretty convinced by it though, just because I can't find any other explanation for what it would be. Trying to study chess and Korean at the same time. Yeah, if only if only you had some anarchy Korean for that. I learned that native Korean numbers only go up to and are used to 100. So that's partially true, Noah. Pure Korean numbers nowadays only go up to 99. There are words though, if you're talking about it, like, does it go higher? Yes. There are pure Korean numbers for 1,000, 10,000 and higher, but they're no longer used. In fact, I made a video about that specific topic for pure Korean numbers that are higher than 99, but you'll never, ever, ever see them. But I did still make a video because it was fun. Thanks for the side quest. Yes. How many streams will you have before I go to Korea? I have 2 more lessons. So next Sunday and the Sunday after that, we'll get 2 more lessons. And then that's it. That'll be the last lesson. Now, if I feel okay and I'm not too stressed from packing, because I'll be busy after that, I might do a 3rd live stream, like something like this where we'll review something, but there won't be another class. Just 2 more classes left before I go to Korea. Oh, and while I'm in Korea, I guess I'll ask you guys, is there anything you want me to film? Any requests you have for my trip to Korea? I can't promise that I can do it. Sometimes people will say, go to BTS office and dance with BTS and star in their next video. And, you know, like, I can get a bit kind of ridiculous requests that I can't promise that I can do them. But I am curious what you would like to see, because I haven't made plans yet. I'm going to start planning my trip from this week, actually. Finally starting to make some plans for videos I want to film. But what types of videos would you like to see? What videos do you enjoy that I film in Korea specifically? Especially videos that I can't easily just film here. Like, if it's a video I can just film by myself in the US, like, you know, making new cheat sheets or analyzing a K-pop group, that I do here in the US. But something like meeting with other people, especially if it's not like a celebrity. I don't have contacts that are celebrities very much, at least not that I can meet. And yeah, if there's someone that you'd like me to meet, or videos you'd like me to do, or like topics you'd like me to cover, or places you'd like me to visit, or anything like that, I'm open to suggestions. What's the most used number system? Sino-Korean. More glasses with Billy. I'm planning on doing that. Do you have any suggestions for topics? Make dance reels with K-pop idols. Yeah, exactly. That's the type of topic I cannot do. More videos with Talk to Me in Korean. I would like to. I have requests. I like Billy on the street talking to Koreans, asking questions. I want a video of the blue lemonade and Milkis combo. Ah, okay. I do plan to do more interview videos. Those are always fun. Although it is kind of awkward going up to people and being like, excuse me, I'm filming a video for YouTube about Korea and Korean. Would you have a second to stop to talk with me? And like, you know, 9 out of 10 people are like, they think I'm selling them something, or they think I'm like trying to convert them to some religion or something. And then the one person will be like, oh, that's cool. Oh, you're a YouTuber. Oh, give me your card, like that. Then it is kind of difficult to do those, but it doesn't take that long to film. I can probably film 1 video in a day if I stay at the area for a few hours. So yeah. But I would like to make some more of those. If you have any topics you'd like to know, let me know that. Let me know if you have any questions you'd want to ask, because that's the real tricky part, is deciding what would I ask them. I can't just say like, hey, 안녕하세요. 어떻게 지내세요? Like, it's got to be a topic that I plan in advance so that it's, you know, more natural. Meet the president of Korea. Yes, that would be a great topic. And then I'll go up to him and I'll be like, 안녕하세요. Make like the worst video possible. Then they'll ban me from Korea for just being extremely awkward. I don't want that. I'd love if you go to Jeonju. Oh, hey, Jeonju. I've never been to Jeonju. I would like so much to visit there. I just never got a chance because I had one friend who said they would go with me to Jeonju. but we didn't get a chance to do it. And then that friend left Korea the next year. So I never got a chance to go there. And I don't know anyone else who could take me there. Cause I'm not someone who likes traveling to new places by myself. I would travel to somewhere else to meet someone or go together with someone, but like going there all by myself, I'd feel kind of like awkward because I'm carrying all my equipment. I don't know where I am. I'm like looking directions with my phone and trying to find everything for the first time. Go to Jeonju and try your favorite restaurant, Royal Food and Drink. If they want to sponsor me and get me to go down there, sure. I'm okay going to meet someone. I just feel kind of awkward going somewhere new by myself. The Han River looks too awesome. You can record videos. It doesn't matter who's with you. It could be Jeremy or anything. Or Sai. Okay, I haven't thought about Sai. You know, I'll give him a call. I haven't talked with him in a while. It's been a second. Visit different parts of Korea and try to speak in their accent. That's interesting. The only downside I can see, so I like your idea, I'm actually thinking about it seriously, would be the expense of taking the train or bus to all of those areas in Korea would mean the video is going to be around like $500-600 to make, because the KTX to Busan itself is like $50 each way. And then I know I'd have to also go to Daegu because they're distinct. I'd have to go over to a few other places in the area that I also know of. I'd have to go up to the Gangwon-do area. I'd have to go down to Jeollado. And yeah, it's going to be kind of a mess to make it, but it's a cool idea. Or I go to each area and ask them to say something to me in their dialect. That could be cool. That could be cool. If I have a way of visiting, I'll tell you what, if I have a way of visiting those different areas in Korea anyway, then I can plan to make those videos in those areas when I go there. While doing other videos, I can stop and be like, oh, I got to get some clips for this other video and then put them all together. But I would have to have someone to go with me. So I need to make a new friend, a new Korean friend who likes traveling, who will take me to those places. That way I can film the videos with everyone. That's kind of a cool idea. I like that. Korean restaurants that are tourist friendly, but not catering to tourists. I see what you mean. So they are, well, I guess any restaurant would be okay with tourists, but I see what you mean. So restaurants that you could visit that would have food that a tourist would like. So it's not going to be like raw duck and horse meat mixed together in a sandwich. It's not going to be like something that doesn't exist. It's not going to be something that a foreigner would be like, what? When they see it, but it's something that's kind of like cool food, good for a tourist, but not a tourist restaurant. I kind of get what you're saying. Maybe they have like chairs, you can sit down. You don't have to like sit on the ground. It's not a guide that I need. It's a friend. Like I can guide someone else. This friend, this hypothetical friend could be Jeremy, except then I have to take care of Jeremy, which would make it even harder than just going by myself, honestly. But something like that, just a travel companion, I think would be a better way to put it. And I would normally bring my wife to do that, but she's not interested in appearing in videos, so it'd have to be someone else. But yeah, like a travel buddy. Film at a Korean highway rest stop. That was actually one of my ideas from about 10 years ago, was to go to a Hugeshir, because Hugeshir in Korea are a actual spot to go to. They're cool. It's like you stop in this random, like you're driving down the highway, you see like, oh, rest stop normally. Like what's going to be at a rest stop? It's going to have a bathroom that's not well maintained. Maybe they'll have a vending machine and then a bunch of parking spaces and usually like a little park area with a picnic table. You know what I'm talking about? A regular rest spot like in the US or something. No. Korean rest spots are basically a strip mall. Like you go there and it'll have this giant bathroom, like the biggest bathroom you've ever seen. Tons and tons of stalls, like no lines, nothing. Anyway, you can use the bathroom, relax. You can sit down. They have chairs, but then they'll just have like all these rows of people that are selling like street food or snacks or something. Then they'll have a cafeteria area that'll have like basically a cafeteria that you'd get at a supermarket or at a regular department store, where you order something from the machine and then you pick it up from the different booths. So like you can sit down there and you can get decent food, and it's cheap because they know you're just driving. Like you don't want to get you're not like going to a famous restaurant. You're just getting a quick meal. So it's cheap, comes out really quick, tastes good. I got some really good street food there before. And it's just so big and like welcoming. Tons of parking, you know, then you leave and you're happy, continue on your trip. It's like an actual, it's worth stopping at a rest stop in Korea. But I never made a video about it. So I wanted to like 10 years ago, and I was going to do it with a friend, a specific friend I had picked out who wanted to also do a video. And that was the same year that we had Jeremy, and I just totally lost the ability to do travel videos for a while. Obviously, because, you know, we were too busy and didn't have any free time. And then by the time I was a couple years later, when I'm thinking, oh, I'll do the video again, and that friend had already gone off, moved away. So I'm like, okay. Well, that's another good video idea, though. Yeah, Korean Hyugeso, whatever. Rest stops. Did I say Hyugesu? Hyugesu would be a rest room, not a bathroom restroom, but like a room you can rest. Hyugeso would be the rest spot. So if I say if I said the wrong one, I apologize. I wasn't thinking. Oh, and Ji Hunlin commented about that. I see. Yes, that's right. It would be so. Basically, a trap made to get you to stay in the area. Yeah, it's like you stop there and they know that you're resting, so they actually offer you stuff to do. Now, the reason it works, though, I think, is because Korea is much smaller. Whereas if they put a rest stop between like Los Angeles and Las Vegas, for example, like who's going to want to stop unless they have lots of stuff there? So there are a couple, like there's a big stop in, I think it's Mesquite? Anyway, there's a couple spots along the way between LA and Las Vegas as well. But it's kind of like that. Like if you are stopping, might as well give us other stuff we can do, like shops or food or whatever, make it worth our while. Otherwise, why stop? Because the city's just another 20-minute drive. Why am I going to stop here unless there's something worth stopping for? So Korea is more packed closely. So especially the stops that are like between Seoul and other major cities, they're really worth stopping at because they know you didn't have to stop. You're choosing to stop there. So yeah, Hyuge-Seoul would be a really cool idea. We need to get Billy a native guide. Yes. Well, yeah. Travel friend is the word. And learn about counters. Yeah, Ruchi, I recommend watching my 100-episode beginner course. Then all of the questions you've asked today are in there. So I recommend watching that first, because then you won't have any of those questions. You'll have other better questions, like more advanced questions, or you'll be much more advanced level by the time you finish that. So definitely check that out first. It's completely free. Yeah, I had some of the best, like stock. It was like the sticks of rice cake, just like a stick of rice cake. Like they take a stick and they put it into a big tube of rice cake, and then they grill it, and then you dip it in like some spicy sweet like honey and gochujang sauce. That was really good. I also had a hot dog, basically a corn dog there. Oh, so good. Really like legit street food. Better street food than you'll get in Myeongdong, which I think is like most of the time pretty subpar. I made a list of all the counters, but marked the most commonly used ones. Yeah, and Lola, check out my Korean FAQ series. I made a video about obscure counters where I talk, and maybe you already wrote some of those down. Also, there is the counter for bodies also, which is cool. But yeah, I do have a Korean FAQ episode about obscure counters. And then I have a cheat sheet all about counters as well, with the more common ones. I mean, you shouldn't be counting bodies commonly unless you're working like at a forensic department or something like that. Okay, that's good for today. I don't want to go too long. Myeongdong street food is flat out bad. Okay, well, you said it. I didn't say it. But I'm not disagreeing. It is, one of the only ways to eat bad food in Korea. For disclaimer, I have had good street food in Myeongdong, but you have to search it out. You have to know what you're looking for. If you just go in there and grab a bunch of food, you're going to be disappointed. But if you know like what to look for, like, oh, that is actually going to be good. Like that's hard to mess up. Some food in Korea is hard to mess up. Like tteokbokki is really hard to mess up. Tonkas. Tonkas is really hard to mess up in Korea. Although I have had the worst tonkas in my entire life was in Myeongdong. Like so bad that 10, 12 years later, I still clearly remember how bad it was. But there is good food in there. You just have to look for it. The majority, though, I'd say if you're a tourist and you don't know anything about Korea yet, you're going to have a bad time getting street food in Myeongdong because it's really, they have a really low bar. Like they know you're there no matter what, whether you want to be or not. Everyone goes to Myeongdong anyway. So they just don't care about providing good quality food there, which I think's sad. I think that Myeongdong is going to be the only place that a lot of foreigners, a lot of tourists try Korean food. They might only be in Korea for a week and they're staying near Myeongdong and they think, oh, today's the day I'm going to try Korean street food. And they get that. They're not going to think Korean street food's that great. Or maybe they'll think, it's pretty good. But no, it's supposed to be crazy good, not kind of good. I don't know. I think the government should, I don't make the laws, but I think they should have inspections for food quality in Myeongdong and tourist areas, because that's the type of food that people are going to try first. It just seems like why are you letting them give that stuff to a foreigner? They're going to think that's what Korean food tastes like, when most of the food I've had there is like, meh. At best, it's okay. At worst, it's like, this should not exist. Best tonkas is Pikachu. You're right. Yeah, Pikachu. Although Pikachu is different. Pikachu is made with shredded meat. They'll use like the I think it's chicken. I can't remember. I remember learning it when I had it the last time. But yeah, it's like kind of a shredded patty that's been fried. But it is pretty good. Pikachu does taste pretty good. Okay, that's enough for today. Anyway, before we start talking about Pikachu and everything, the best place to find quality street food. Oh, that's a good idea. Okay, I can talk about that. I do know some places. They are not where you think they are, though. It wouldn't even be a marketplace, I can tell you. Maybe I'll make a video about that. I'll have to think about it a little more so I can maybe make a few different recommendations for where you can go for good street food. Okay, anyway, that's enough for today. Next week, we're going to have a regular lesson. Today was not a regular lesson, but thank you all for showing up. Especially thanks to the two of you who also donated to our stream today. We had Lexica as well as Mike. And I'll see you again next week. 그럼 다음에 또 봐. Try not to hit my board today.